Yes! Howdy fellas and fellettes, I'm Sprited, and this is the 11th episode of the Mario Marathon, the series where I attempt to review every single Mario game ever made. I'm insane! This time around I'm going to be covering the ever-popular Game Boy launch title, Super Mario Land. So there's this guy, he's kind of a swell guy, his name's Gunpei Yokoi. You might be familiar with him if you've seen my video on Mario Bros, where he actually helped out on that game. Yokoi is largely considered the father of handheld gaming, having created the Game & Watch series of handhelds, which I also covered in the past. Those handhelds worked as a singular game per console kind of deal, so consumers would have to buy a separate Game & Watch if they wanted another game. This wasn't like the home consoles where you buy a console itself as well as interchangeable game packs like the NES. Yokoi wanted to change this and revolutionize handheld gaming. From this, he, with his own two hands and a very large womb, birthed the Game Boy, Nintendo's first real portable console. Ah yes, the original Game Boy, or the brick as I call it. This thing is super charming to own, but honestly it's not worth the hassle. It doesn't even have a backlit screen, meaning you had to play games in a direct line of light. There was a little contrast slider here to make things nice and adjustable, but even compared to the non-backlit portable consoles, its screen is piss poor. It's this puke green faint picture in monochrome color, and the damn thing takes 4 batteries. Yeah, I don't like the original Game Boy, needless to say. Now this atomic purple Game Boy Color, I'd fuck that thing. My opinions aside, the brick was revolutionary, and most people didn't seem to care that much about its faults, because it went on to sell like hotcakes. As would later become a Nintendo staple, Nintendo thought it would help sales to try to put a mainline Super Mario game on all of their hardware. Just coming off of working on the whole Super Mario Bros. Trilogy, Miyamoto's flatulent self decided to sit this one out, along with the rest of Nintendo EAD. This time around, Gunpei Yokoi himself actually directed, with Nintendo R&D 1 developing. Mario was still a new series, and not a lot was established about the world at this point, just that running and jumping on baddies was important, and you hit blocks to get power-ups. Because of that, plus the new team, Mario Land is easily the weirdest mainline Mario game. It definitely has its own identity for it. Like, it's strange, but hey, it's unique. The Mario series doesn't really have a lot of unique shit going for it these days. Super Mario Land came out on Game Boy in Japan on April 21st, 1989. For footage, I'm going to be once again using an authentic copy. On the Super Game Boy this time, which allows you to play Game Boy games on the Super Nintendo. It's pretty rad.
The Martians are coming! Yes, and Mario is your only hope. Team up with him in Super Mario Land. Guide him on the Nintendo Game Boy. Challenge the mysteries and terrors of ancient Egypt. Battle all the horrors of the deep. Master lots of weird worlds to give Mario a happy ending and make your world a better place. Super Mario Land and other exciting games for Game Boy. Nintendo, now you're playing with power. Portable power.
Not too far away from the Mushroom Kingdom is a neighboring nation known as Sarasaland, ruled over by Princess Daisy. Fuck all them haters. Daisy is one of, if not, I haven't really thought about it, but she's one of my favorite fucking Mario characters, okay? Unlike the airheaded Peach, she's more of a sporty, loudmouth type, and she would probably say brawl a lot. Anyway, Sarasaland is made up of 4 kingdoms: Biribito, Muda, Easton, and Chai. Each are actually heavily inspired by real-life locations: Egypt, Bermuda, Easter Island, and China. One day, out of the darkened clouds emerge a spaceship, and inside, an alien invader. Yeah, this series is rocking aliens now, fuck yeah! This purple bat-like alien is none other than that of Tatanga, who has no real character because he's like one of the most obscure Mario characters ever. It's a real shame, honestly. Tatanga hypnotizes the creatures and residents all across Sarasaland to do his bidding. Meanwhile, he kidnaps Daisy to marry her. Mario somehow catches wind of this and kind of +1s himself into the situation, journeying to save Daisy. The whole game is pretty limited compared to the NES trilogy, but considering it's a Game Boy launch title, I guess it's understandable. Gone are the millions of enemy types, backtrack scrolling, and world maps, and we're back to Mario 1 in Lost Levels style. Mario Land is kinda... well, jank isn't the right word, it's like off, I guess. The graphics aren't great, and everything is tiny, but I guess that can be forgiven since it's such an early Game Boy title, and they didn't really know what the hardware was capable of. The physics, particularly the jump arc, is super off. I'm not great at explaining controls in games, but the best way to put it is that Mario feels way too heavy. His jump is just so slow and stiff, yet his run is insanely fast, then he stops on a dime. It always feels like Mario has to commit to his jumps. Like when you jump in a direction and then let go, he still is going that direction. It just feels off. The collision can be absolute shit sometimes, and on top of that, just like Mario 1, you can't bounce high off enemies. How hard is it to get that right? Okay, obviously that isn't as big of a problem, but you get my point. Overall though, at its core, the normal Mario gameplay is here. You hit blocks, jump on baddies, go down warp pipes, get coins, run to the right of the screen, lather, rinse, repeat. There's secrets and stuff like bonus rooms, but nothing too crazy. You can actually sometimes find hidden platforms and invisible blocks, which is pretty fun. I am not a fan of this game's level design at all. I mean, I guess it's fine, but I noticed that this game loves to repeat shit. Like, a lot of levels have areas that are just copied over a few times, with the same coin placement even. There's not a whole lot of levels here, with only 4 worlds and 3 levels in each, adding up to a tiny 12 levels. Every third level in a world is guarded by a unique boss at the end. At the end of each main level are 2 doors, one on the ground and the other high up. The high up one is always difficult to reach, whereas you can just walk into the bottom one. Now my script proofreader, if you will, Eddie, actually brought up an interesting point about this. This has an obvious parallel to the flagpole, so considering that they went with something similar but slightly different, I'd guess that they had trouble coding the flagpole, akin to the Koopa shells. I'm not saying coding is easy, but were these guys new to this? I'll go into the Koopa shells later, but I thought that was an interesting point. Anyway, they both doors end the level, but the top one lets you play a little bonus game where you can earn lives or power-ups. Actually, because of the monochromatic colors, instead of a green mushroom, the one-up is instead a little heart, which is kinda cute. I guess that's a good enough segue into power-ups. Just like before, you can get mushrooms to take an extra hit, and as always, you can upgrade that with another power-up. Though there's only one in this game, just like Mario 1 in the Lost Levels. Now, this might look like a fire flower, and if you're not vigilant, it might seem to act like a fire flower. But this is actually the Super Ball flower, turning Mario into Super Ball Mario. Whoa! Super Balls almost work exactly like fireballs, except you can only fire one at a time. But that one ball you throw out will bounce and ricochet off walls and shit. They still kill enemies, but they also collect coins. Despite this, it's nowhere near as useful, since you have to wait so long to fire another shot. Starman also returned and function exactly the same, but for some reason they replaced the iconic music with the can-can. That's a really strange choice, but okay. Actually, I do want to talk about the music for a little bit. While nowhere near as crazy as Mario 3's offerings, the music in Mario Land done by Hirokazu Tanaka is so damn catchy. I hum the shit out of all this game's music, like all the time, non-stop. Each world has its own ground theme, except for Easton for some reason, which not even Mario 3 did. The World 2 music in particular is amazing. You might know Tanaka for also composing Earthbound, which is one of my all-time favorite games, and the soundtrack to that game is also fucking amazing. The last major thing I haven't mentioned yet is the 2 vehicle levels. Originally during the development of Super Mario Bros., Mario was intended to pilot a plane in on-rail shooting levels, much like Gradius. Mario Land implements not just a plane level in Mario's plane, the Sky Pop, but another one themed around underwater in Mario's submarine he also happens to own, the Marine Pop. These levels are fun, but they're auto-scrollers. It doesn't get too annoying, and it's to be expected with the shoot-'em-up level, but I fucking hate auto-scrollers. Alrighty, let's talk enemies. No, believe it or not, this isn't a Goomba. It's my original character, Goombo. What's the difference? It looks small. Yeah, for real. Mario looks small too. Guess it's the third Mario brother, Marubo. These aren't bullet bills, they're bullet biffs. Yeah. And these guys? They're just piranha plants. But these guys, they're not Koopa Troopas, they're bombshell Koopas. I guess the devs couldn't get kickable Koopa shells to work, so instead they just fucking explode. Alright, anyway, those chuckle nuts aside, each world actually has its own set of baddies, fitting the theme of each world, which is really cool. In Birabuto, there's the returning Fighter Flies, which were enemies from the original arcade Mario Bros. They actually even function the same, jumping around just like before, but now you can jump on them. Next are Bun Buns, who throw spears at you from above, and finally there's Gao, this lion who shoots fireballs at you. The boss of this world is King Totemus, a bigger Gao that also throws fireballs at you. And he jumps sometimes. Woohoo! Great enemy design! In Muto, we got Honins, these bony fish that jump at you, kinda like Trouters in Mario 2. Uarins and Uarin-Boos are seahorses that shoot fireballs at you. Mechabon, this robot guy that kinda jumps on you. Okay. He gets split into two and like fly around and shit. That's about it. There's Torion, these fish in the Marine Pop level that turn around at the edge of the screen, you gotta dodge them. And Gunyan, this octopus that takes 3 shots from the Marine Pop and splits off into 3 little, like ball things. It's strange. The boss here is Dragon Zamas. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. You shoot him a bunch and then he dies. Yeah, the bosses and enemies in this game are absolutely pathetic. In Easton, there's Batidons and Toko Tokos, both based on Moe statues of Easter Island. Batidons fly around for you to jump on, and Toko Tokos charge at you out of fucking nowhere. The small resolution of the Game Boy really makes these guys hard to see coming sometimes. There's Sue, these spider fellas falling from a web on the ceiling, and Kumo, these jumping spiders. There's an awful lot of jumping enemies here, aren't there? The boss here is Hayohoi, who throws rocks. Finally, in the Chai Kingdom, there's Pionpi, this happy guy. In-game, they look like little pigtail-wearing mountain girls or some shit, but in their official art, they take the form of Jiangshi, or hopping vampires from Chinese mythology. You guys know Qian Ko from Darkstalkers? Yeah, she's one of them. They don't stay dead if you jump on them, which is super annoying. Pom-poms are plants that shoot projectiles upward, kind of like lava lotuses. Niaololin is a snake that, once again, just shoots fireballs. And of course, there's the best enemy, fucking chicken. Just chicken. It flies at you. Rokotons are plane driving guys that look exactly like minions. They shoot bullet biffs at you. And then there's my favorite enemy, Chikako. In-game, they're just sparks that you gotta dodge. Kinda like the ones from Balloon Fight. But if you look at the official art here, look at this boy. It's the face of a generation. Finally, there's Genkatsu. They're just fists and warp pipes. They work like piranha plants, just so you can't kill them. This game has probably the most piss-poor and strangest enemy roster in the whole mainline series. Most of the enemies fill roles that the other baddies already do, so why not, instead of wasting the space on sprites they don't need, put that memory into more important features, like maybe more levels? I get they probably didn't know what the Game Boy was capable of. Mario Land 2, which fixes all these issues, came out in '92, way after devs figured out the Game Boy hardware. So it can be excused, but it's still annoying. I mean, Mario Land isn't without its charm. I already mentioned the stellar music, and I do heavily appreciate that there's at least attempts to be different from Mario 1. It tried, I'll give it that. I like the little details in the level's limited backgrounds, like the pyramids in the first level and Mario arriving in a UFO to get to each level in the Muda Kingdom. 4-3 is the aforementioned plane level. Compared to a lot of other challenges in the past two levels, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. There's plenty of mushrooms hidden in blocks in case you get hit, too. At the end is a cloud boss named Biokinton, who throws chickens at you. I always thought the boss hit noise sounded like E.T. Anyway, after you beat him, the music gets fucking real as Tatanga emerges. You see, this is another thing I don't really like about this game. The piloting levels are cool and all, but there's only 2 of them in the entire game. A final boss is supposed to test the skills you've learned throughout the entire game. Yet this one you just move up and down and spam the shoot button for. He goes down like a little bitch, and Mario finally finds the real Daisy. The two of them board some kind of jet and fly off into the sunset or some shit. The end. Oh, and I really like the credits music too. Also, something I almost forgot to mention, after finishing the game you can unlock a hard mode. It just puts harder enemies in before easier levels. Beating this just gives you a level select. Super Mario Land has not aged well. The controls are so off for an action platformer, and looking at the shit the game asks of you, especially in the final world, that's a huge problem. You know, they say limitation breeds creativity, but all I see in this game is a pale imitation of what Mario 1 is kind of like, and honestly, that doesn't make a fun game to revisit. I get plenty of people have a fond nostalgia for this game, and like I said, the devs probably just didn't know what the Game Boy could do yet, but in terms of playing the game today, I'd say just avoid it in general. But if you did want to try it for whatever reason, the game is available on the 3DS's Virtual Console, and believe it or not, that's the only time this game's ever been ported. If Nintendo ever does a Game Boy Classic Edition or puts Game Boy games on the Switch Online, it's pretty much guaranteed they put it on those though. This game actually sold better than Super Mario Bros. 3, believe it or not. The tie-in with the game and this amazing arranged soundtrack by the Mario Freaks Orchestra, whose music you've been hearing this entire video, was released. There's also a few toys, comics, and a board game, as well as a manga by Kodansha that went on for 43 volumes. This manga is referred to by fans as KC Mario. I'll talk more about that in the next video. Overall, Super Mario Land is a neat little look into the past of portable gaming, and for the Mario series, but not much else. If you want a fantastic retro Mario game on your Game Boy, I'd say look into the sequel. Well, ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching my video. The next episode is going to be a special one, where I look at all the miscellaneous media from the 80s I haven't yet. See you then! Special thanks to my pal Eddie for proofreading the script for this video, and if you want to see what I've been working on, I have a comic made alongside Josh McHipster on Webtoons called Alfie Once and Future. At the point of this video, it already has 3 chapters, so please check it out. I got a Twitter and a DeviantArt too. Ciao.